Hello everyone, welcome back to TechOps tutorial. Now that we have covered role-based access control basic, let's not repeat the definition or a simple demo. Instead, we will focus on how role-based access control behaves in real production, how teams accidentally break things, how access is designed at scale, and how misconfiguration impacts cluster. I will quickly create namespace and sample workloads so we can focus on scenarios. Dev QA prod kubectl get namespace. Dev prod QA namespace has been created. kubectl create deployment nginx image equals to nginx colon 1.27 hyphen n dev QA prod. Now let's verify. kubectl get ports hyphen n dev QA and prod. All workloads are running in each environment. Now let's simulate a very common production mistake, giving unintended cluster-wide access. I will create a wrong binding intentionally. This binds a read-only cluster role to a service account in dev namespace, but across the entire cluster. kubectl get cluster role binding temp hyphen debug hyphen access. Okay, this confirms the binding is active in the cluster. Now let's test what this actually allows. kubectl get ports hyphen n prod hyphen hyphen has equals to system colon service account dev colon default. This works, which means access has leaked outside the intended boundaries. Even though this service account belongs to a dev namespace, it is now able to access production resource due to the cluster-wide binding. In real environments, this is how production exposure happens, not through hacking but misconfiguration. You can also check kubectl get ports hyphen nqa hyphen hyphen has equals to system colon service account dev default. Access is no longer restricted to its own namespace. Let's check if access is fully open or partial restricted. kubectl get hyphen n prod hyphen hyphen as equals to system colon service account colon dev colon default. kubectl get secrets hyphen n prod hyphen hyphen as equals to system colon service account colon dev colon and default. The output we received is error from server forbidden. You can see it is a forbidden, so this is not full admin access but still a serious over permission issue. Now let's fix the misconfiguration. kubectl I will directly delete it. Cluster role binding temp hyphen debug hyphen access. Now we remove the excessive access. Now let's verify. kubectl get cluster role binding temp debug access. kubectl get cluster role binding temp hyphen debug hyphen access. Error from server not found. Now let's confirm access is restored to a proper boundaries. kubectl get ports -n prod as equals to system service account dev default. Access is now correctly restricted again. This is the real world role-based access control failure pattern, not due to attacks, but due to misconfiguration. In production, these mistakes don't break cluster, they silently expand the access risk. That's why role-based access control is not just about creating rules, but continuously validating who has access to what. Now, scenario 2, let's move away from the mistake and focus on something important: how role-based access control is designed in real companies when there are many teams and applications. Think about the real organization with multiple teams like dev, QA, and operations, and many applications running inside the cluster. If we create a separate role for every user or every small requirement, role-based access control becomes very hard to manage over time. So the main question is, how do we design role-based access control in a simple and scalable way? There are two ways team can handle role-based access control design. One is bad approach and the other one is good approach. What is bad approach? Creating role per user or per requirements. Too many roles, hard to maintain, no reusability, difficult to manage in large cluster. And the other one is good approach. Create reusable roles and attach them to a multiple teams using bindings. One role equals to one permission model. Multiple bindings equals to multiple teams. Clean and scalable. Now let's implement the good approach and see how it works. This role defines a standard read-only access pattern for pods. Now let's verify what this role actually contains. Describe cluster role read-only access. Here you can see it allow get, list and watch access on a pod. kubectl get cluster role read-only access. This confirms the role is created and available for reuse. Now let's apply to multiple teams. First, QA binding. I will bind to the QA using this command. And then I will bind the same role to a dev. Now let's verify how the same role behaves across multiple teams. Pods-n dev as equals to system service account dev default. This confirms the dev team can access its own namespace. Now verify for QA. kubectl get pods-n QA -n has equals to system service account QA default. And the QA team also gets the same read-only access pattern. Now let's see if we are able to access from dev to QA. kubectl get pods-n QA as equals to system service account dev. Here I am using dev default. Error from server forbidden. This request is forbidden. This confirms the dev team cannot access the QA namespace. Even though both teams use the same role, they are still isolated because bindings work separate. This is how role-based access control is designed in real production system. Instead of creating hundreds of roles, organizations focus on reusable permission sets, multiple binding per teams, centralized access control design. This is what keeps large Kubernetes cluster manageable. Now let's see the another scenario 3. In this we will see what role-based access control does not protect you from. Okay, now let's clear A very common misunderstanding about role-based access control. Role-based access control controls what you can do in the Kubernetes cluster, but it does not control everything. Even if a user has access to a pod, role-based access control cannot control what happens inside the application or a container. For example, what file exists inside the container, what the application does internally, what data the application processes. Let's find a pod. kubectl get pods -n. I will choose dev. Let me pick one running pod from the dev namespace. Now I will access the container. kubectl exe-it. Use this pod name -n dev. Now I am inside the container shell. You can simply run ls whoami date. At this point, role-based access control has already allowed access to the pod. After this, role-based access control does not control what happens inside the container. If someone can exit into a pod, they can run commands inside it. Role-based access control controls Kubernetes API access, not the application or a container level behavior. Let me exit from this container. Now let's see the scenario 4. In real production, role-based access control issues are not found using theory. They are found when something fails. Let's simulate a real failure. Get secrets hyphen prod hyphen as equals to system service account dev default. kubectl get secrets hyphen in prod hyphen as system service account dev default. Error from the server forbidden. Access is denied. Now the question is why? In real environments, engineers don't guess, they verify the permission. Check using can I. kubectl auth can I get secrets as equals to system service account dev colon default. The answer is no. This confirms the user don't have permission to access secret in the production namespace. Let's check what permission this role actually has. Describe the cluster role. Read only access. Here you can see this role only allows access to pod. There is no permission for secrets. That's why the request was denied. If this role had access to secrets, you would see another entry here for secret with get, list, and watch permission. In real Kubernetes environments, role-based access control is not just about creating rules, it's about preventing accidental access, managing permission across teams, avoiding misconfigurations, and limiting impact when something goes wrong. That's what makes role-based access control critical in production system. Let's quickly clean up everything we created in this demo. We'll delete role bindings. Dev binding -n dev. Similarly, we'll delete for QA. This removes the access binding for dev and QA teams. Now let's delete the cluster rule. Delete cluster rule read-only access. This removes the reusable role we created. Now we'll delete the deployments. kubectl nginx -n dev. QA prod. This removes all sample workloads. Now I will delete the namespace. kubectl delete namespace. Dev will delete now QA. Now we will delete for a prod. This deletes all the namespace used in this demo. If you want, you can optionally check kubectl get namespace. You can grep hyphen capital E dev QA prod. There is no output. Everything is cleaned up. So now you have seen how role-based access control works in real production scenarios. Not just theory, but actual behavior, mistakes, and debugging. If this helped you understand Kubernetes better, hit the like and subscribe. I will be covering more practical DevOps topics like this. I will see you in the next one.